What are the differences between students that are law enforcement versus students that are private or legally armed citizens? I'm not sure there is a difference. What do you guys think?
I think there's a difference in that law enforcement officers are a little more difficult to teach because they tend to think that they know perhaps more than they do.
The whole show me thing. Yeah. Not a bad idea. Wes, do you go about, well, I mean, there's going to be different applications, but when we're talking about nuts and bolts, the foundational type skills, do you see a big difference in how they're taught?
No, I think a lot of it's in the application of the skills because, one group is, personal self-defense / just enthusiast, and the other one is the one most likely to have to use the skills. So kind of the mindset and how we're going about it's a little bit different.
When I see, since I've started, I'm like you, for the vast majority of my adult life, it was law enforcement training. A little bit of military here and there. In the last 9 years since I've been doing more armed citizens, I have found that there is a little bit of a difference. And the difference actually comes in the fact that, law enforcement doesn't kill the enemy. They police society. Thus, their goal is to take people into custody. So many, maybe the majority, of their confrontations are extremely close because they tend to happen during that arrest situation.
The officer's responding.
Right. Armed
Reacting.
citizens, not so much. They're back a little bit. It's a conversational distance, more like a 5 or 6 yard distance where they're across the width of a car or the length of the parking space or in their driveway. Whereas the cop is actually in there snatching onto somebody, so quite often their shootings start as a fight, where an armed citizen starts as a conversation or a confrontation.
Well, and as an armed citizen, there's that opportunity and hopefully the forethought to avoid. And many times with the law enforcement officer, it's the statutory obligation. You're there. You got a responsibility. You can't leave.
When it comes to disarming, we talk about if a private citizen is accosted, someone sticks a gun in their face, they probably want something from that person. So there's this verbiage that they can use. Hey, please don't hurt me. They put their hands in a tactically sound position so they can move offline and grab the gun. A cop, if you have a gun in your face, it's probably about to be fired. Right. There's no negotiation. So definitely different.
Something else I've noticed? I've taken some of the classes from some of the former special operations and military guys, and I've noticed in their classes, they do a lot of long distance pistol shooting, what I would call 25 yards and out. And it kind of struck me that that's the military. They try to kill the enemy from great distance. So guys from that type of background, it only makes a certain amount of sense that they'll try to stretch the distance out on that handgun.
Sure.
As we all realize with active shooters and things like that, being able to use that pistol a little further away is a good idea. But let me ask you, Wes, how far is too far with a pistol, and at what point should you just leave?
Well, beyond that 25-yard mark, you had some sort of alternatives. I mean, for starters, more than anything else, that's the gun that we struggle with the most, and it's the one with the greatest liability behind it. So making a good decision when those distances get a little bit further, I think, is important.
Your specialty is kind of close quarter pistol craft and, intertwining open hand skills with handguns. What do you think?
I think that we assume, since a handgun fires a projectile, that our handgun encounters are going to be at distance, even 7 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards. LEOCA stats don't bear that out. 0 to 10 feet is where 50% of the cops are killed every year. Not 1 year, but for decades.
Yeah.
And 0 to 5 feet being the highest, the deadliest range there, 0 to 5 feet.
That taking the custody distance.
How much do private citizens train 0 to 5 feet with a pistol? And the naive response is, well, if I can hit from 100 yards, hitting from 5 feet is that much easier, but we all know that's not the case.
There's no pandemonium, there's no duress, there's no blood, the mud, and the beer kind of thing going on.
Yeah, it's a night and day comparison.
Yeah, absolutely.